Somewhere in most kitchens right now is at least one ingredient people reach for when they run out of plain white sugar for their hummingbird feeder: honey. Brown sugar. Sometimes just a drop of red food coloring, because the feeder's red anyway, so why not the nectar too? None of these feel dangerous, but each one has a specific, documented way of quietly hurting the birds you're trying to feed. Let's start with honey. It's natural, it's sweet, it even comes from flowers in a roundabout way. But honey is far more prone to fermentation and mold growth than plain sugar water once it's diluted and left hanging outside in warm weather. That matters because a fungal infection called candidiasis, tied directly to contaminated nectar, causes a hummingbird's tongue to swell, and its entire survival depends on a functioning tongue. It's not that honey is poisonous on contact, it's that it turns into a health hazard faster than plain sugar does, often before you'd notice anything looked wrong. Now, here's one most people have never heard flagged: brown sugar, or raw, less processed sugar. The difference comes down to molasses content, and molasses carries trace minerals white sugar doesn't, including iron. Hummingbirds can develop a condition called iron storage disease, where excess dietary iron builds up in the liver faster than their body can process it. It's slow and cumulative, not something from one feeding, but a bird visiting a feeder filled with brown or raw sugar regularly, over weeks or months, is taking in a mineral load its body was never designed to handle. Plain white sugar strips out that risk entirely, which is exactly why it's the standard recommendation. And then there's red dye, maybe the most common mistake of all, because it feels logical. The feeder is red. Flowers hummingbirds like are often red, so red nectar seems like it should help. It doesn't, and it's not necessary. Hummingbirds are drawn to feeders by the red plastic and ports themselves, not the color of the liquid inside, and they usually can't even see that color from outside the reservoir. The dye isn't attracting anything additional, it's a cosmetic choice for the person filling the feeder. Meanwhile, feeding a bird this small a synthetic dye repeatedly over an entire season has never been proven safe specifically for hummingbirds. No benefit, only a hypothetical risk, is about as easy a call as this hobby gets. So what's actually left? And is it complicated? It's the opposite. Plain white granulated sugar dissolved in water at 1 part sugar to 4 parts water, no dye, no substitutions. That's the entire formula every major hummingbird authority converges on. And it's also the cheapest option on the shelf. Dissolve the sugar fully in hot water before letting it cool. Don't just stir cold water and expect it to mix evenly. And whatever ratio you use, that nectar still needs changing regularly, especially in hot weather, since even a perfectly mixed batch can spoil within days in a warm feeder. So here's the actual verdict: skip honey. It accelerates the mold and fermentation problem that makes hummingbirds sick. Skip brown sugar and raw sugar. The iron content is a slow, cumulative risk with zero upside. And skip the red dye entirely. It does nothing for the bird and carries an unproven risk for no real benefit. What's left is the simplest, cheapest option in your kitchen: plain white sugar and water, 1 to 4, and that's not a compromise. It's the correct answer every major source agrees on. If you've been using any of these substitutions, it's not a reason to panic about damage already done. It's just a reason to switch, starting with your next refill. Links to a simple nectar mixing guide are below this video. If this changed what's going into your feeder from now on, subscribe. This is exactly the kind of thing we dig into here on Backyard Insider.